Italia 90 is a World Cup which holds a special place in the hearts of a generation of English football fans. It's not so much the fact that their team scraped its way into a semi-final, but the broader significance that tournament, the first which had been experienced as a real shared national event since 1966. England striker Gary Lineker, a Golden Boot winner at Mexico in '86 and scorer of 4 goals at Italia 90, said, "It was a seminal moment almost, in terms of football in this country. Lots of different kinds of people got interested in football and all different classes of people. I think it had a significant effect on the growth of football. It's remembered as much for the aria used by the BBC as the theme tune music for their coverage as it is for the goals. The romance of the near miss as England lost to Germany on penalties, Paul Gascoigne's tears shed when he realised his semi-final yellow card would rule him out of the final if England made it that far, and the sense of a team growing with every game. All of these things captured the collective imagination and paved the way for a decade in which football in England would change forever, with the advent of the Premier League and a huge uptick in glamour." But of course, theirs was not the only story of Italia 90. There was the hosts, semi-finalists themselves, thanks to one summer wonder, Salvatore Toto Schillaci. This unheralded frontman finished the tournament as top scorer with 6, a feat no one would have predicted. He had been well known in Italy beforehand. Indeed, in 1989, Juventus paid Messina £3 million for his services, but Italia 90 was his true moment in the sun. He only ever scored one more goal for Italy once the tournament had ended. Then there was the Republic of Ireland. In the group stages, as Roddy Doyle put it so eloquently in his 1991 novel The Van, they beat England 1-1, they lost to Egypt 0-0 and drew with Holland 1-1. That was enough to see them through. The records show them as finishing third in the group, but Holland and Ireland were only split by the drawing of lots. Few expected the Irish to get past Romania in the round of 16, but a 0-0 draw was followed by a famous penalty shootout win. And when they went out to Italy in the quarters, only a single Schillaci goal separated them and the host nation. The eventual winners, West Germany, hardly set the tournament alight. They blasted 4 goals past Yugoslavia and 5 past the United Arab Emirates in their opening 2 games, but then managed to score 2 goals in a game just once more en route to victory. They drew 1-1 in their final group game with Colombia, managed a 2-1 win over arch-rivals Holland in the round of 16, beat Czechoslovakia 1-0 in the quarter-final, beat England on penalties in the semi-final after a 1-1 draw, and then scraped past Argentina thanks to an Andreas Brehme penalty in one of the most boring, scrappy, ill-tempered finals in living memory. Argentina themselves were a far cry from the majestic Maradona-inspired side of '86. El Diego and the team were not at the peak of their powers by this point. Their run to the final was as prosaic as West Germany's, and the fact that the title was contended between 2 sides who prized functionality above clamour explains why the football is not necessarily remembered for making the tournament a classic World Cup. But the stories above speak to a more romantic truth about Italia 90. The tournament's glory was the triumph of adversity. Cruel defeats made for the most romantic stories of the tournament, and no one epitomised that more than Cameroon. Cameroon shook the world in 1990. While they didn't make Pele's infamous proclamation that an African nation would win the World Cup by the year 2000 come true, they nonetheless lit up the event. On the 8th of June, they opened the tournament by beating eventual finalists Argentina 1-0, despite ending the game with 9 men. They beat Romania, ensuring qualification, and indeed eventually topped their group. Their round of 16 game with Colombia featured 2 injury-time goals from Roger Milla, whose hip-swaying dance celebration is one of the tournament's most iconic images. And while arrogant English scouts told manager Bobby Robson that they had been handed a bye in being drawn against Cameroon, the indomitable Lions came within 7 minutes of knocking the 3 Lions out in a game that finished 3-2 to England after extra time, thanks to a couple of questionable penalty calls in Gary Lineker's favour. Roger Milla dancing, Toto Schillaci celebrating, Gaza crying, and Chow, the coolest mascot of all time, all played out to the strains of Nissan Dorma. It's no wonder that Italia 90 was a cultural milestone in football history.